Hi, I'm Alan Ross. I'm the managing editor of APC Media. This is DISTRIBUTECH International 2024 Interviews with Thought Leaders. Enjoy. My next guest is H.G. Chissel. He is the founder and CEO of AEG. We're going to get to that in a minute. But when I read your bio, I went to sleep on your bio, by the way.
Oh, no.
No, I like to read a good book before I go to bed. It was a book, HG, and it was a lot of different things you're passionate about and you're involved in. We're going to touch on a lot of them, but how did you, first of all, get into the industry and why and how AEG?
This was an unexpected turn to get into energy. I was just coming out of doing architecture and had been recruited to work in a leadership consulting firm and build out their energy practice. And energy from the standpoint of enabling leaders committed to finding ways forward in large corporations to deliver on issues such as sustainability or lead, et cetera. But along the way, I had an opportunity to meet, I think, one of the most inspiring visionaries I've ever met, this woman, Audrey Zibelman, who had just come out from being the chief operating officer of PJM to start her own company, Veridity Energy. And she had a vision for, it's funny, virtual power, dynamic supply demand optimization, all these concepts that now you see are so prevalent. Yeah. She had a vision early, and she encouraged me to join Veridity Energy and help build that company as one of her junior members of her team.
So it's interesting, because everything you talked about, everything she talked about, she was prescient, because that's kind of where we are today in the power industry, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that movement from large scale generation, large scale transmission. Hey, distribution is pretty simple. Get it out to the houses, get it out. But there really wasn't a lot of change, kind of until maybe in the last 5 years. Talk about where the industry is as you see it today.
I think the paradigm before was like a multi-lane, one-way highway with a toll booth, right? And we provided infrastructure out, and people paid for that infrastructure to be able to build the incredible, societies we see around us.
And the toll booth was the ratepayer, right?
The ratepayer.
We called them that, and I'll go to that in a little bit. So we get through the ratepayer. Where we go? What's happened now?
Well, now it's become a dynamic handshake, because where things are today is we need to realize, appreciate, and leverage our interdependence. It's not about a one-way flow. It's really about how we find ways for the consumer to be as empowered and impactful and as valuable as the producer. We need that. That model's more about a sustainable energy future that's resilient and reliable, that also is minimally harmful, because right now our current system is leading us down a path of some significant, serious consequences.
So you used a word and you said you went from ratepayer, the toll booth, to consumer. In truth, we've moved another step to prosumer.
Yes.
Somebody that can supply power to the grid, and the doggone utility that's so used to just the toll booth, right, now has to take power in from all of these different sources, figure out how to store it, and that's changing a lot, storage. So we now have that, there's more interoperability. There is much more of an integrated system.
Definitely.
And that's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
As we go forward, what is AEG doing, and why AEG?
Why AEG? We're in a moment of incredible systemic change. Systemic change is happening one way or the other.
Right.
But for it to be directional, intentional, and positive, I believe we need to approach it like a team sport, because it requires collaboration. It requires developing a sense of winning. It requires knowing what winning is. And unless we have those ingredients right now, we'll have change, but it might likely not be the change we really need right now, which is a decarbonized, reliable future that enables the most vulnerable to actually have an opportunity to have wealth creation, stability, like you saw with COVID, right? We were as strong as our weakest link in COVID.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? That's going to show up in this power space as well. Yeah. We are only as strong and reliable as our weakest links. And as we electrify everything, that cost is going to be put on the shoulders of those weaker than others. And we're going to have to find ways to reverse that paradigm. for us to have a reliable and resilient system.
It's interesting, those things that we can determine that impact the grid, severe weather events, cybersecurity, now physical security. There are a lot of nuts out there running around shooting transformers in substations, and they can knock out power. So you've got all of these things, 50 different states with their own regulatory. The Department of Energy with it is an incredibly complex beast. And here we are trying to, as you said, decarbonize, do those things. You have a passion for leadership. You have a passion to leaders who would make a difference, right?
Yes.
Speak to the leaders in the industry about that difference. Challenge them as to what they're going to have to do to bring about a reliable, resilient, sustainable, safe, pick all the buzzwords that you want, grid. And you use the word equitable. It has to be equitable. We can't put the cost of that on the back of all of the ratepayers. There has to be an associated investment from all of those players. Talk a little bit about that.
Yes, I mean, in reality, our system is closer to breaking points from multiple directions and places than ever before with extreme weather. You talk about extreme acute weather events, but then there's extreme pervasive weather events like extreme heat, which is really the thing that will have the greatest consequences on electrical systems, but also on human life.
Yeah.
Most people don't know that that's the real vulnerability in terms of a human health condition, is protecting against extreme heat. So when you talk leadership, the question is, what are you inspired to lead others? Where are you inspired to lead others to? And now's an moment to really get clear on that. Because we don't really have the luxury of leading people down pathways that could be prosperous, but ultimately lead to our demise. We need to see how this is an interconnected future, and understanding that as leaders now, we need to be invested in positive systemic change. And that's interconnected, and it requires a level of communication that hasn't been really seen before. And as leaders, I would say to inspire them is appreciate your enemy as systemic change agents. And that's silos, right? Silos are what we built all of this on, but silos are not going to serve us for where we need to go, which is why you see we never thought of integrated demand and supply before until now, because the urgency is there, right?
So you mentioned something, because one of the things they hate is change. Right, so the very thing that they need to do and they need to manage is the thing that many people hate. I think there's a generational change too that's coming on. It may be my generation that was because it wasn't broken. Why are we doing all this?
Right.
I think the next generation, your generation, and people in that age group are saying, well, we see the change and it's beginning to work. The generation after that, the 30s and 40 somethings, are absolutely passionate about it. We'd see that as they come into colleges and universities. They can make a difference. We both have a passion for something I want to talk about next. The first Smart Grid Conference happened in 2022 in San Diego, sponsored with San Diego Gas and Electric, or Power and Light, I can't remember which one. But brilliant conference. We happened to be on the steering committee of that and did these kinds of interviews at the Grid Edge, and we'll be doing it again in 2024, again in San Diego. You're supporting that steering committee. I think Wayne Bishop, our friend, is he's the chair of the meeting. He was the chair of meetings for IEEE globally. And he should have just retired because he did it for 5 years. Now he is the chair of that. We look to it being a brilliant conference. You have a special part of that conference. Talk about it.
Well, I'm excited to be the chair of the Innovation Showcase component to the Grid Edge Technologies Conference and Exposition. Last year, I was invited to be the MC of the pitch competition, which was extraordinary in terms of the ability to be on the front lines of listening to startups, leaders, young leaders who are inspired by problems that they know need to be solved, and were courageous enough to put forth solutions in front of their peers and those that they admire for feedback to get support. And this year, Wayne asked if I would chair the Innovation Showcase. I'm doing it with my vice chair, Saeed, who is a professor in California. I think he's at the University of Southern California or San Diego.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful to work with him. And what I see is essential to our role during the Grid Edge Technology Forum is to highlight the critical importance of innovation towards solving critical problems. Oftentimes we can get in a situation where we have a solution and we try to go find a problem for it. We don't have the luxury of that right now. We need solutions that are matched to massive, urgent, critical problems. So my aspiration for this showcase this year is to make sure those critical, massive problems are clearly understood, articulated by the right stakeholders in a room, from utilities, solution providers, DOE, who say these are the problems we need innovation for, and for the startups to show up well prepared with great ideas and viable solutions that they can back up with their presentations, so this is the solution that can have that game-changing impact. And for the venture community to be in the room and say, I'm going to get behind you. Everybody we need's in the room, let's get behind you so you can scale this as quickly as possible.
What kind of success did you have with the first one 2 years ago?
It was fantastic. We had amazing presentations. I felt that those who got to be a part of the pitch competition, 25 competing startups, they were competing, but they also had this opportunity to present and learn from one another as well.
Right.
And I think where we're going next is to bring more of the venture community into the space,
right.
Make sure the forum is well worth their time to show up so that they have an opportunity to really interface with these startups, create follow-on meetings, and then make sure every innovation component or partner or division of a major utility can also be present, because they are now also actively investing in innovation.
Yeah, brilliant. So you just did a commercial for the venture people to come.
Yes.
You did a commercial for the startups to come. Excellent. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to, at the Grid Edge conference, we're trying to present it as there's IEEE PEST&D that's happening this year, happening in Anaheim. As an alternative to that, it happens in January in San Diego, right?
Yes.
You ever been to San Diego in January? It's brilliant, isn't it?
It's not so bad.
It's not so bad. So we hope to see people there. But thank you so much, HC.
My pleasure.